Thinking about clothes Mr. Darcy would wear. Mr. Darcy. When Jane Austen was writing Pride and Prejudice, did she like somehow inside of her soul know that she was about to make an entire like legion of young and old women simp perpetually for the rest of like their lives? She probably knew. Maybe just a little bit of her. Welcome to my kitchen after a while, a long while, maybe too long. Don't worry about the different setup. Don't think about that. Don't question it. I'm house sitting, but at least the lighting is good. So yeah, and I really needed to make this video. I've been like putting it off. I've been needing to make this video because it's what I'm passionate about, or at least I was passionate about this topic. Because it's something that I've been like thinking about genuinely, so thinking about it more than those Pedro Pascal memes that I see on the daily. I can't believe that the next Tumblr man is probably gonna end up being Pedro Pascal because of The Last of Us, which I haven't seen. I don't really intend to see. I don't know, sci-fi's not really my thing. Alright, so this video is just going to be more like a ramble of just like my experiences and just personally what I do when I make characters, which as you can tell from the title of this video, that's kind of what it is. Yeah, character design can be a bit challenging. I find modern character design to be meh. I don't know, I'm just one of those people that kind of puts purpose into everything I do, and when I make things, I want them also to have purpose, and so I take time into actually like thinking down to tiny details on how certain silhouettes work. So I just thought, if you're making a world and you're struggling with maybe making your characters be more realistic in like the way that they dress, or want to think of differently about how to approach character design, this video might be for you. If it's not for you, no hard feelings. You can go, or you can stay and learn something. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it matters, but I'm not gonna hold you and your attention captive with the jangling of keys. Historical fashion. General question to ask ourselves, first of all, what is historical fashion? So according to Wikipedia, history of fashion design refers specifically to the development of the purpose and intention behind garments, shoes, and accessories and their design and construction. That's a pretty accurate definition, especially with it being kind of a recent online phenomenon, at least from what I have observed. Recreating historical garments has become like a whole other sewing art of its own, like rediscovering how we used to wear clothes, why we used to wear them the ways that we did. And even though they were older and didn't know any better with some choices, they kind of knew what they were doing and they kind of had it going on. Especially in like as we explore a lot of historical like fiction, like with Jane Austen and Bridgerton, and well, I guess not technically Bridgerton, it's more inspired. That's a whole other thing. We're not talking about that. What we are talking about is how, especially in like the influencer community, how historical fashion has really brought out this new art medium and exposure to a piece of our history that media didn't really care about, and now like there are so many people that are recreating museum examples and different garments, and it's so inspiring to see. And so with clothing and fashion being an art of itself from the dawn of time, even up until now with modern ways people can make clothing, historically there are a lot of commonalities between up through the eras that I feel like are kind of important constants to distinguish when we're moving forward in how to apply historical fashion to character design. So common items in each era, I'm putting kind of an exception to like the 80s and 90s, because this is when the idea of this like phased out of fashion altogether, is shifts and chemises and camis, like throughout history, like the basic undergarment that was a constant was basically like this. It was basically like a long dress of some kind or a long undershirt that would just help protect the skin from, I don't know, uncomfortableness of clothes maybe, or more specifically it would like, especially in like the more historical context, it would protect the skin from how structured bodices like corsets and stays would sit on the body. It was to protect the body. That's what the point of chemises were. And it also would protect the actual outer clothing from sweat. So the sweat would go onto the chemise and it would provide less damage onto the outer garments because clothes weren't washed as often, which is maybe why we as a society have phased out of wearing shifts, camis and chemises altogether. It's because now there's a more convenient way of washing clothes. I'm not a historian, disclaimer there. This is just what I've observed and what my inferences and assumptions are. Another thing that has been a constant throughout history, and this one is less of an exception for our modern day society, is that clothes have purpose. They had a purpose back then. Each silhouette and style that history has gone through, they all had a certain purpose they were trying to achieve as society developed, not just to look pretty, but in a functional way as well. And just like characters in a story, you know, they also have purpose. On the complete opposite end, character design, just in my perspective. Designing a character, for me, first starts with an idea, whether it be an idea for a world or a story. Most of the time, I think about what the world is and what maybe subsection of culture I'm trying to dive into before I start thinking about characters. When I am ready to start putting, you know, characters in a world, then I kind of just get a feeling deep down in like my creative soul, and the more that I think about the feeling, the more the idea of a certain character comes to mind. Most of the time I know exactly what their purpose is and how they fit into their story slash world, like puzzle pieces, but sometimes that doesn't always happen, and so they just become this little like trinket in the back of my pocket to whip out whenever the moment presents itself. We talked a little bit about like how I see and how I approach character design. We talked a little bit about historical fashion. So how do these two ideas connect? Well, there's another constant thing that we as a modern society have kind of forgotten about when it comes to modern day fashion, but something that is still remaining constant in character design is silhouette. Silhouette is so important to the fundamentals of character design and as well as the fundamentals of historical fashion. It was like a standard back then. And how it connects is like silhouette can be as subtle or as extreme as you want. It is your story after all. As long as your character is recognizable in your story, then it becomes much easier for them to be very attractive characters in your story. Just from a viewing standpoint, if you're making a story for yourself, then that's completely, you know, it has to be recognizable for you and for you to, you know, really attune to them emotionally or spiritually if you so choose to. And that's another reason why silhouette in historical fashion is so important, because when you look at a silhouette of a character and when you look at a silhouette of certain era of fashion, you can tell immediately what era or what character that is just based on silhouette or certain features that make that character or that design of clothing what it is. So that's what makes it important. So for example, I'm going to be using my OC, Alaria.
Here we have Alaria in her very basic undergarments. Layering on top of that, we have some we have socks, chemise with very voluptuous sleeves. On top of the chemise, we have overdress, which is detailed with some beautiful beading. Around her waist, she wears a belt. And then we have some other details like arm cuffs and a pretty little headdress just to make her look extra princessy. As you can see, this is a very basic explanation of how her layers work, but all in all, you can kind of see how I mixed the ideas of character design and historical fashion together.
So all the layers that Alaria has, they are important to her and they correlate to who she is in a story. You know, it shows her culture and how the undershirt or her shift that she wears with the ballooning sleeves and how it ties in the back, it's along with the overdress she has as well. So because it has so much detail, especially in the bodice part with the woven ribbon and all the beading, you can tell she's a woman of high society, which makes sense because she is a princess. And how she has these soft silk shoes and stockings for traipsing around on the indoors is also a key component in how she is a woman of high standing, because she goes outside but she doesn't necessarily have to, and so she has fine comfortable shoes that she can walk around in her house or wherever she's a traveling princess kind of on the run. And not to give too many spoilers away, but her outfit is important, is travel centric, and it's lightweight and yet manageable, and yet it makes a statement wherever she goes. Because she is a bit of a runaway princess, a bit of a traveling princess, she needs to be able to show her status and show her wealth wherever she goes, so that way she can secure safe lodgings. So it correlates to how Ilaria is Ilaria with how she cares about her appearance, and that's why she is so embellished, and why there's heavy pleating on her skirt, and why her bodice has so much beading. And it's even why her shift is a light color, because the light color not only helps her keep warm, it helps her keep cool because it's made out of a light color and it's made out of linen, but also it shows that she has people, or she has the capability to keep such a garment clean. And that's why her having a light colored shift is important, and it's a symbolizing of her being in high standing, because women in her society who were of a lower income would wear darker shifts, so that way stains and such weren't as visible, so that way they would look a little bit nicer, because it is, you know, it's hard work being a person. And Ilaria doesn't necessarily work hard. She's not afraid of getting her hands dirty, but she still very much cares about her appearance and what she looks like. So that's how it correlates to her as a person. So there really are no rules when it comes to designing an outfit, but when you're someone like me who puts a lot of purpose into every thread of a story, these are just some things that I just kind of keep in mind when I go to design outfits for a character. And if these tips help you, excellent. Please use them, abuse them. Please, like, I'm not begging, but like, here you go. Here's a nugget of my brain, I guess. You know, it also would make me happy and make you even more a success than you probably already are in your life, because success is not set on one definition. By following me on Twitch and watching when I stream, and also joining the Soupiest Discord server, link is down in the description. Also, I have Discord subscriptions that are live, so if you want extra perks like watching a weekly art stream where I just get to draw and you guys get to chill and chat with me, then that would be super neat. You can join for only like $5 a month, and that would be super helpful for me, so that way I can keep making the content that I can, hopefully make this a full-time job, which is honestly my dream. Twitch was never the goal, it was always me making videos, but that's a bit more strenuous of the past than streaming. And without streaming, I wouldn't really have an excuse to play video games. Anyway, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Okay, bye. Poor cats, they just were chased out of their yard by a dog. Speaking of dogs.